let's talk about EQing bass guitar. So down here at 50 Hertz, this is the sub rumble. Depending on the speed and the tempo of the song, if the song is really fast, you may want a tighter bass, but if you've got a slower tempo, you can really get a lot of sub here. The other thing you gotta pay attention to at 50 Hertz is the kick drum. If there's a lot of sub in the kick, you might want a little bit less in your bass, or if you've got your kick positioned frequency-wise above your bass, you might want more sub push in your bass. Next is the 130 range, and this is really a lot of the body. So if you need a little bit extra thickness in your low mids, this is where you can get it. Next is 320. This is what I consider the tightness of the bass. So for example, if you want to tighten up the sound a little bit and get a little bit more clarity in your mix, or you need an extension of the upper harmonics here of the low end, and you want to add a little bit more body. Next is 800. This to me is like the bass presence or the bass note. And depending on what kind of bass sound you want, like for example, really scooped with a lot of click, like for example, nu metal, or something that's really articulate, like you might have, say, in like thrash metal, 800, you can either boost and get that articulation, or you can kind of scoop it here. Next is 2K, and this frequency can get really harsh. Again, this brings out a lot of like the clack when you have a distorted bass, for example, in metal. So depending on the bass, for example, like this one, I think 2K sounds better on a cut because it's a little bit less harsh. You still have good note clarity, but at the same time, you're not really like destroying the ears. So again, this can be good because sometimes you need a little bit of clarity, but if you have a lot of distortion or clack in your bass, cutting 2K is pretty good. Next up is 5K, and this is kind of like the really top end of the bass. You get a lot of click up there. So if you want a bass that's a little warmer, remove some of the finger and the pick from it, you can reduce this. And if you want a bass that's really clackety, you can turn that up. Finally is 12.5, and up here is like a lot of hiss and a lot of presence. And generally, I mean, I would argue for bass, a lot of that stuff's gonna compete with your guitars, your cymbals, your vocals. So you probably don't need a ton of it, but if you're going for like a nu metal sound or something like that, you can definitely crank it up. If you wanna up your mixing game, check out nailthemix.com.